Have you ever noticed that throughout an entire day of life, the mind almost never stops running? One thought barely finishes, and another thought immediately replaces it. It is as if we sit in a room where voices never stop speaking. Some voices come from the past, some speak from the future, and some are worries about things not yet real. Inside that constant noise, many people begin turning toward something important: the practice of meditation, the training of the mind to become calm and steady. When someone truly begins stepping into inner training, one idea often appears sooner or later, a concept many people may have heard before: the practice of focusing the mind on a single object. If we explain it simply, this practice is like a stage where the mind trains itself. It is also like a screen where a beam of light can appear as an image, because without a screen, light cannot reveal any picture at all. Just like a seed, if there is no field of soil, the seed has nowhere to grow. In the same way, this practice is not just staring at something, it is creating a space where the mind gathers its own energy. It becomes a training ground where restlessness slowly begins to fade, and the scattered power of awareness gradually gathers into one unified presence. When we look back at the path taught by the Buddha, we discover 10 traditional objects for this training. Each object is like a doorway, inviting the mind to enter and develop deeper stability. The journey begins with the most familiar things, the things closest to everyday life, such as the element of earth, focusing on earth, something so ordinary, we step on it every day, something we almost never stop to observe. Yet when the mind rests on it steadily, that ordinary thing becomes a powerful anchor, allowing the mind to grow still in a surprising way. Next comes the element of water, focusing on water. Water flows according to its container. It appears to have no fixed shape. Yet hidden inside that movement, a quiet stillness waits to be discovered. Then there is the element of fire, focusing on fire, the element of heat and transformation. Fire burns and changes everything it touches, yet at the same time, it gives light, illuminating what would otherwise remain in darkness. Then there is the element of air, focusing on the movement of wind, something invisible to the eyes, yet constantly felt through breathing, felt through the trembling of leaves, and through subtle currents moving around us. These 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and air, form the basic structure of the physical world. They are the fundamental framework of nature itself. The human mind can use these elements as anchors of attention, gradually training itself to settle into deeper stillness. Yet the practice does not stop there. Another group of meditation objects exists, and they are equally fascinating: the use of color, for primary colors, green, yellow, red, and white. Focusing on these colors is not merely looking at color in an ordinary way. It becomes a training, allowing the mind to perceive patterns of energy that grow more subtle over time. It is almost like adjusting a receiver, slowly increasing its sensitivity, moving from coarse signals toward finer and finer frequencies. As the practice deepens even further, attention slowly moves beyond physical form toward something without form. One profound example is the contemplation of space, focusing on open space itself. A vast openness, not empty as in nothing existing, but empty as in completely open and without boundaries, like an endless sky with no frame around it. As the mind becomes familiar with this boundless openness, its attachment to solid forms slowly begins to loosen, little by little. Yet there is another form of practice, one that does not focus on external objects anymore. Instead, it turns the attention back toward awareness itself, toward the knowing that quietly experiences everything. If we examine our lives carefully, we begin to see something remarkable. Every experience we have ever had, every image we see, every sound we hear, every sensation moving through the body, even every thought drifting through the mind, all of it appears through the activity of the mind, working together with four basic elements of experience: the physical form we sense, the feelings that arise within us, the recognition that labels what we perceive, and the mental reactions that shape our responses. Together they form the mechanism of life as we know it. The entire system of human experience revolves only around these processes. When seen from this perspective, all other meditation objects, whether earth, water, fire, air, or even colors, are like the scenery of a stage, like the fertile ground where something may grow. Yet the true seed of the whole process is awareness itself. This deeper form of practice is therefore the training of the mind to turn back and observe the source of knowing. And when awareness begins to clearly recognize itself, the direction of inner training slowly begins to change. The focus moves away from external objects and gradually shifts toward understanding the nature of the mind, and that moment becomes an important doorway, a doorway into genuine awakening, a discovery that unfolds through direct experience, slowly, quietly, yet with immense power. Have you ever wondered why sometimes we can sit still for an hour without much difficulty, yet at other times, even a few minutes feels unbearable? The body is still the same body, the breath is still the same breath, yet the inner experience feels completely different, as if we are living in two separate worlds. Along the path of training the mind, there are lessons that no one can truly explain to us until we encounter them ourselves. In the early stages of practice, we do not yet understand the structure of the mind. We do not know how thoughts really operate. We do not see clearly where feelings come from. The only things we have are our determination and the simple instruction given by a teacher: sit down, be still, and watch what happens. Some people sit for 3 hours at a time, sometimes even 4, and what begins to appear in the body is pain. It starts from a tiny point in the leg, almost like a small ant slowly crawling upward. Then gradually the sensation spreads, from the leg to the hips, from the hips to the back, from the back throughout the entire body. Before long, the body begins to feel as if it is burning from within. Sweat starts forming one drop at a time, until the clothes become wet, the floor beneath becomes damp. It feels as though the body is fighting something invisible, like a runner struggling toward the finish line. Yet in truth, this is not real victory, because it is only endurance forcing the body to remain still, while the mind inside understands nothing at all. It is like carrying a heavy stone up a mountain. Even if we reach the top, the weight is still there. Yet if we observe carefully, something small begins to reveal itself, something we had never noticed before. Because every time pain is about to flood the body, something else always appears first. It comes extremely fast, extremely softly, so subtle that almost no one sees it. That something is a thought. It does not shout loudly, it whispers quietly, saying, "That is enough, get up now. Sitting like this is useless." And the moment that whisper appears, the body immediately begins to surrender. So instead of fighting the pain, we turn our attention toward the real cause. We observe the thought at the very moment it begins, and we stop it right there, not allowing it to continue growing. We remain quietly with simple awareness, and the feeling becomes strangely unfamiliar. It is almost like holding something back, like holding the breath of a thought. The mind refuses to allow the thought to continue. If attention slips even slightly, we gently bring it back to awareness again. We repeat this again and again, like a guard standing at the doorway of a house, not allowing anyone to enter without permission. and something remarkable begins to happen. We find ourselves able to sit far longer than before, without a single drop of sweat. The pain that once squeezed the body tightly disappears completely, as if it never existed. Time begins to pass very quickly, as if only a few brief moments have gone by. The mind becomes still, light, open, and filled with a quiet happiness, a happiness so deep that words struggle to describe it. This happens because when the mind stops chasing thoughts, it returns directly to simple awareness, like scattered light suddenly gathering into a single beam, and in the language of meditation training, this state is known as focusing directly on awareness itself. Not focusing on objects, not focusing on images, but resting with the knowing that is constantly aware. Yet reaching this point requires long preparation, like slowly climbing a staircase one step at a time. In the beginning stages of training, we may contemplate the body, seeing it honestly for what it truly is, merely a physical mass, not the beautiful form the mind likes to imagine. It is filled with constant change, filled with things that must eventually decay. We repeat this contemplation again and again, day after day, month after month, year after year, until one day, something extraordinary happens within the mind. A quiet understanding appears, deep and unmistakable, without the need for explanation. A wave of fulfillment spreads gently through the entire body, as if the heart has finally discovered an answer it has been searching for all along. When the mind has been trained until it becomes reasonably strong, we begin using everyday life as our training ground. When someone insults us, when someone causes friction or conflict, instead of reacting with anger immediately, we pause and look more carefully. The person who is speaking harshly is simply a body made of earth, water, fire, and air, and we ourselves are exactly the same. No one truly owns anything. Everything is simply nature moving according to causes and conditions. When we reflect like this again and again, one day the anger that once burned so fiercely will feel as if it has been lifted out of the heart, leaving behind only a strange and gentle lightness. As our practice continues and grows more mature, we begin to see the limits of thinking and analyzing, because thinking still requires the mind to construct stories, and that process is simply too slow. Instead, we begin looking directly at feelings the moment they arise. For example, when fear appears, we look straight at the fear itself. We observe how it arises, how it stays for a moment, and how it eventually fades away. When we see this pattern many times, the mind gradually understands something important. Every feeling is temporary, nothing remains forever. And because of that understanding, emotions begin to dissolve much more quickly. Take another example. Before joy suddenly appears, there is always a thought first. It is the tiny spark that begins the entire chain of events. The thought appears, and the emotion follows. If we learn to notice that very first moment, we immediately understand something powerful. If we can stop the thought at its beginning, then we never need to struggle with the emotion later. It is like cutting a tree at the base, instead of spending hours picking off its leaves one by one. This understanding aligns perfectly with a deeper truth about life. When the cause is seen clearly, the cause can be released immediately. And when the cause disappears, the result disappears with it. Everything in life unfolds through causes and conditions. Nothing appears without a reason, and nothing continues without support. When we see this again and again, we begin to realize how powerful thoughts truly are. And when we practice letting go of thoughts repeatedly, awareness becomes quicker and sharper, until it begins catching the exact moment when the mind is about to change direction. And one day, something remarkable happens. The seeing of a thought appears almost at the exact moment the thought itself is born, and that moment becomes a turning point in the journey of training the mind, because from that point forward, the practice is no longer a struggle, it becomes understanding, and when true understanding appears, calmness no longer comes from forcing the mind to be still, it arises naturally on its own, like the surface of a lake, becoming perfectly calm, once the wind stops blowing. And when the mind becomes still enough to observe these processes continuously, we begin to notice something that most people never truly see in everyday life, a simple but profound truth. Throughout the entire day, the mind is constantly talking to itself, almost without stopping. Have you ever noticed that during certain periods of life, the mind seems to be speaking endlessly within itself, like an invisible conversation happening inside the head, from the moment we wake up until the moment we fall asleep? One thought leads to another, circling endlessly without rest, until we almost forget completely what it even feels like to experience a moment with no thoughts at all. And when the training of the mind reaches a certain depth, a strange question begins to arise inside, a question that seems very simple, yet so deep it shakes our entire understanding of life. The question is this: if there is a moment when no thought appears at all, then where is the mind? Has it disappeared, or is it still there? This question does not come from reading books, it does not come from memorizing teachings. It comes from the direct experience of someone who has sat quietly observing the mind for a long time. Because when the practice truly deepens, there are brief moments that feel very unusual. The mind becomes completely silent. There is no voice speaking inside the head, no images of thought passing through, no stories forming in the background. There is only a clear and mysterious stillness, as if the whole world has paused for a moment. If we observe that state carefully, we begin to notice something we have never seen before. The mind has not disappeared at all. It is still present, but it is no longer running around creating thoughts as it used to. It is simply resting with the body, quietly. There is still awareness. It knows the breath. It knows the sensations inside the body. It knows whatever state is appearing in the moment, yet there is no interpretation, no mental construction, no inner commentary stepping in. It is like a lamp that is still turned on, but no images are being projected onto the screen. Seeing this clearly reveals another layer of truth about life. What we normally call thought is not actually life itself. It is not truly who we are. It is not the real self we once believed it to be. It is simply a natural phenomenon, like earth, like water, like fire, like wind. It arises because certain conditions appear, and it fades away when those conditions disappear. By itself, it carries neither happiness nor suffering. Yet the reason we suffer so much is because we mistakenly cling to these thoughts as if they are who we are. It is like someone standing inside a cave, hearing the echo of their own voice, and believing another person is speaking back, when in truth, it is only the echo returning. The lives of many people unfold in the same way. We believe every thought that appears. We treat it as if it were reality, even though it is only the echo of processes moving inside the mind. And seeing this truth does not happen once and then end forever. Many times we will feel as if we finally understand, as if we have seen through something important. Yet as time passes, we begin to realize that what we thought we understood was only part of the picture. And by seeing the tricks of the mind again and again, we slowly become more careful. We no longer rush to believe every story the mind creates. We no longer cling to every emotion as if it were absolute truth. And this is the heart of not being deceived by the endless cycle of life and death, a cycle that has turned for longer than imagination can grasp. The most important question of life therefore becomes very simple. How will we use the life we have been given? Because if we allow our days to pass, chasing small things that appear and disappear, an entire lifetime may end, without us ever turning back to look into our own mind. And for those who are only beginning this path, there is no need to start with something grand. It is enough to begin with small things. Begin with living in a simple and ethical way. Begin with noticing the small thoughts that appear throughout the day. Slowly reduce the useless wandering of the mind, and gradually release what is unnecessary, little by little, like someone emptying a travel bag, removing one unnecessary item at a time. The heart slowly becomes lighter, and as the training continues, awareness gradually accumulates, little by little, like drops of water filling a jar, until one day, the mind begins to grow quieter, it begins to understand itself more clearly, and within that quietness, certain truths about life begin to appear, gently, silently, not because someone told us, not because we read them in a book, but because we have seen them for ourselves, step by step, breath by breath, along a path of awakening that slowly opens from within our own heart, quietly, yet with profound depth. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and join us as we continue the journey through many more stories together in the next episode.